I carried that baby for 9 months. I felt her kick beneath my ribs at 3 a.m. I talked to her through my skin, promising her a beautiful life. I gave up coffee, wine, sushi, everything I loved because I wanted her to be perfect. I endured the swollen ankles, the sleepless nights, the heartburn that made me feel like I was swallowing fire. I did all of it for my sister, because she couldn't have children of her own. Because she had cried in my arms for years, grieving every failed pregnancy, every negative test, every doctor who told her it would never happen naturally. Because I loved her more than I loved myself. And the whole time, the whole 9 months, she was sleeping with my husband. The baby I carried wasn't from any IVF clinic. She was theirs. And I was just the vessel they used to hide their affair. But before I tell you how I discovered the truth, before I explain how I found the paternity test hidden in my husband's desk drawer, or how my sister's face crumbled when I confronted her, I need to take you back to where this nightmare began. Because the betrayal didn't start in a hospital room. It started with a question I should have never said yes to. My sister Naomi and I were born 18 months apart. Growing up, people often mistook us for twins. We had the same deep brown skin, the same wide smile, the same way of tilting our heads when we were thinking. But despite how similar we looked on the outside, we were completely different on the inside. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who followed the rules, got good grades, and never caused our parents any trouble. I became an elementary school teacher because I loved children and stability. I married my college sweetheart, David, when I was 25, and we built a simple, comfortable life together in a small house in Memphis. Naomi was the opposite. She was wild, spontaneous, the kind of woman who quit jobs on a whim, dated men who rode motorcycles, and showed up at family dinners with a new hair color every month. She was magnetic in a way I never was, the kind of person who walked into a room and made everyone turn their heads. But beneath all that confidence was a wound she rarely talked about. Naomi couldn't have children. She had been diagnosed with severe endometriosis in her early 20s, and by the time she was 30, her doctors told her that carrying a pregnancy to term was nearly impossible. She had tried everything: fertility treatments, surgeries, experimental procedures. Nothing worked. I watched my sister grieve something she had never even had. I held her when she cried at baby showers. I listened when she ranted about the unfairness of it all. And I promised myself that if there was ever anything I could do to help her become a mother, I would do it without hesitation. So when she asked me to be her surrogate, I said yes. I didn't even think about it. The conversation happened on a Sunday afternoon in October. David and I had been married for 6 years at that point. We had talked about having children of our own, but we weren't in a rush. I was 31, healthy, and focused on my career. We figured we had time. Naomi showed up at our house unannounced, which wasn't unusual for her. She had a way of appearing whenever she needed something: emotional support, a loan, a place to crash after a bad breakup. I loved her, but I had learned to keep my guard up. That day, though, she seemed different. She was calm, quiet, almost nervous. "Can we talk?" she asked, standing in my kitchen with her hands clasped in front of her like she was about to deliver bad news. Of course. I poured her a cup of tea and sat across from her at the table. "What's going on?" She took a deep breath. "I've been seeing someone," she said. "Someone serious. His name is Marcus. He's a financial advisor, stable, kind, nothing like the guys I usually date." I smiled. "That's great, Naomi. I'm happy for you." "He wants kids," she continued, her voice wavering. "And I want to give them to him, but you know I can't. I can't carry a baby myself." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I know, I'm so sorry. We've been looking into surrogacy," she said, her eyes meeting mine. "And I was wondering, hoping actually." She trailed off, but I already knew where she was going. "You want me to carry the baby," I finished for her. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "You're the only person I trust, the only person I would ever ask." "I know it's a lot. I know it's huge. But if you could do this for me, if you could give me this one thing, I would never forget it, Cynthia. Never." I looked at my sister, my wild, broken, beautiful sister, and I saw the same little girl who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms because she was afraid of the dark. How could I say no? "Let me talk to David," I said. "But if he's okay with it." "Yes, I'll do it." Naomi burst into tears and threw her arms around me. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." I held her tight, feeling like the best sister in the world. I had no idea I was holding a snake. David took the news better than I expected. When I told him about Naomi's request that evening, he listened quietly, his expression unreadable. He asked a few practical questions. How long would it take? What were the risks? Would our insurance cover the medical expenses? But he never once said no. "If this is something you want to do," he finally said, "then I'll support you." I kissed him, grateful for his understanding. "It's only 9 months," I said, "and then Naomi will finally have the family she's always wanted. I can give her that. We can give her that." He nodded slowly. "Just promise me you'll take care of yourself. That's all I ask." "I promise," I said, and I meant it. What I didn't notice, what I was too blind to see, was the way David's jaw tightened when he spoke. The way he avoided my eyes when I mentioned Naomi's name. The way his hands clenched into fists beneath the table. I thought he was nervous about the surrogacy. I was wrong. He was nervous about something else entirely. The IVF process began 3 weeks later, or at least that's what I was told. Naomi took charge of all the medical arrangements. She found the fertility clinic, scheduled the appointments, handled the paperwork. She said it was the least she could do, given the enormous sacrifice I was making. "You just focus on being healthy," she told me. "I'll take care of everything else." And I let her. I trusted her completely. The first appointment was at a clinic in downtown Memphis, a sleek, modern building with glass walls and soft piano music playing in the waiting room. Naomi came with me, holding my hand as we sat in the reception area, waiting for my name to be called. "Thank you for doing this," she whispered. "I know I keep saying it, but I mean it. You're the best sister anyone could ever have." I squeezed her hand. "That's what sisters are for." When the nurse called my name, Naomi stayed in the waiting room. She said she didn't want to overwhelm me, that she'd be right there when I came out. I thought it was considerate. Now I realized she was hiding. The procedure itself was quick and clinical. A doctor I had never met explained that they would be implanting an embryo created from Naomi's eggs and her boyfriend Marcus's sperm. He used words like blastocyst and implantation window and progesterone support. I nodded along, pretending to understand, trusting that everyone in that room knew what they were doing. After the transfer, I lay on the examination table for 20 minutes, staring at the ceiling, imagining the tiny life that might already be forming inside me. "Please work," I whispered to the empty room. "Please." 2 weeks later, the pregnancy test came back positive. Naomi screamed when I told her. She literally screamed, a high-pitched, joyful sound that made the neighbor's dog start barking. She hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. "I'm going to be a mother," she sobbed. "Because of you, I'm finally going to be a mother." I cried too. I thought I was giving my sister the greatest gift of her life. I didn't know I was carrying the evidence of her betrayal. The pregnancy progressed normally. I experienced all the usual symptoms, morning sickness that lasted well into the afternoon, food aversions that made me gag at the smell of chicken, exhaustion so deep I could barely keep my eyes open past 8 p.m. But I didn't complain. Not once. This wasn't my baby. This was Naomi's baby, and I was determined to give her the healthiest child possible. David was attentive during those early months. He rubbed my feet when they swelled. He made midnight runs to the grocery store when I craved strange combinations of food. He held my hair back when the nausea overwhelmed me. He was, by all appearances, the perfect supportive husband. But looking back, I can see the cracks I missed. The way he always seemed to know when Naomi was coming over before I told him. The way he'd disappear for walks that lasted an hour or more. The way he'd glance at his phone constantly, tilting the screen away from me whenever a message came through. I told myself he was stressed. I told myself the surrogacy was hard on him too. I told myself I was imagining things. But the body knows what the mind refuses to accept. And my body was starting to notice that something was very, very wrong. Around the 5-month mark, Naomi started acting strange. She had been coming over almost every day since the pregnancy began, bringing me vitamins, checking on the baby's progress, talking about nursery themes and baby names. She was excited, present, involved in every detail. But suddenly the visits became less frequent. She'd cancel plans at the last minute, claiming she was busy with work. She'd take hours to respond to my text messages. When we did talk, she seemed distracted, her eyes wandering, her answers short, like she was thinking about something else entirely. "Is everything okay with Marcus?" I asked one afternoon when she stopped by briefly to drop off a baby blanket. She flinched at the question, actually flinched. "Everything's fine," she said quickly. "He's just been traveling a lot for work. You know how it is." I didn't push her. I figured she was dealing with relationship stress and didn't want to burden me while I was pregnant. But then something else happened. Something I couldn't explain away. I came home early from a doctor's appointment one Thursday afternoon. The appointment had been shorter than expected, just a routine checkup, nothing complicated, and I was looking forward to taking a nap before David got home from work. But when I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something strange. Naomi's car was parked on the street in front of our house, and David's car, which should have been at his office downtown, was in the garage. I sat in my car for a long moment, staring at the house. My heart was beating too fast. My palms were sweating against the steering wheel. The baby shifted inside me, pressing against my ribs like she could sense my anxiety. There had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe David came home early because he wasn't feeling well. Maybe Naomi stopped by to drop something off and was just saying a quick hello. Maybe I was being paranoid, hormones, exhaustion, the stress of carrying someone else's child for 5 months. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. The front door was unlocked. That was strange. David was obsessive about locking doors even when he was home. But I pushed the thought aside and stepped into the foyer. The house was quiet, too quiet. "David," I called out. "Naomi," no answer. I walked through the living room, past the kitchen, toward the hallway that led to our bedroom. With every step, the silence grew heavier, more suffocating. My instincts were screaming at me to turn around, to go back to the car, to pretend I had never come home early. But I kept walking. And then I heard it. A sound, soft, muffled, coming from behind our closed bedroom door. Laughter. My sister's laughter. I stopped in front of the door, my hand frozen on the handle. Every part of me wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe they were watching something funny on TV. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe, but deep down I already knew. I had known for weeks, probably longer. I just hadn't wanted to see it. I pushed the door open. And there they were, my husband, my sister, in our bed, wrapped around each other like they had done this 1,000 times before. For a moment, nobody moved. Naomi saw me first. Her eyes went wide, her face draining of color. She scrambled backward, pulling the sheet up to cover herself, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. David just stared at me. No shock, no apology, no attempt to explain. Just cold, empty silence. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember if I screamed or whispered or said nothing at all. The next few minutes exist in my memory as a blur of sounds and images. Naomi crying, David reaching for his clothes, the baby kicking hard against my belly like she could feel my heart shattering. What I do remember is leaving. I walked out of that bedroom, out of that house, out of the life I thought I had. I drove to my mother's house 20 minutes away, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I pulled into her driveway and sat there for an hour, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of what I had just witnessed. My husband was sleeping with my sister. The baby I was carrying, the baby I thought was created in a laboratory using Naomi's eggs and some stranger named Marcus's sperm, suddenly felt different inside me. Something wasn't adding up. The IVF, the clinic, the way Naomi had handled all the medical arrangements herself. The way David had been so calm when I told him about the surrogacy, like he already knew what was going to happen. A thought crept into my mind, dark, impossible, too horrifying to consider. What if there was no IVF? What if the baby I was carrying wasn't made in a clinic at all? What if she was made the old-fashioned way, by my husband and my sister, and I was just the fool they used to hide their affair? My mother found me in the driveway an hour later. She knocked on my car window with concern etched across her face, and when I opened the door, I collapsed into her arms like a child. "Cynthia, what happened?" she asked, stroking my hair. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. The words were stuck in my throat, tangled up with rage and grief and a pain so deep I couldn't find the bottom of it. So I just cried. I cried until my eyes burned and my chest ached and my voice was raw. My mother held me through all of it. She didn't ask questions. She didn't demand explanations. She just held me, rocking gently, whispering that everything would be okay even though we both knew it might not be. When I finally calmed down enough to speak, I told her everything. The surrogacy, the IVF, the way Naomi had handled all the details, the way David had been acting strange for months, and finally, what I had walked in on that afternoon. My mother listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something I will never forget. "Did you ever meet Marcus?" I blinked. "What?" "Naomi's boyfriend. The one whose sperm was supposedly used for the IVF. Did you ever actually meet him? I opened my mouth to answer and stopped. I had never met Marcus. Not once. Naomi always had an excuse. He was traveling for work. He was too nervous to meet the family yet. He wanted to wait until the baby was born to make a big introduction. I had accepted every excuse without question, because I trusted my sister, because I believed every word she told me, because I never imagined, not in my darkest nightmares, that she would use me like this. "Oh my God," I whispered, my hand moving instinctively to my belly. "Oh my God." My mother's face was pale, but her voice was steady. "We need to find out the truth," she said, "and the only way to do that is with a DNA test." The next 72 hours were the longest of my life. I stayed at my mother's house, refusing to answer David's calls or respond to Naomi's increasingly desperate text messages. My phone buzzed constantly, apologies, explanations, pleas to talk, but I couldn't bring myself to read any of them. What was there to say? I had seen everything I needed to see in that bedroom, but I hadn't confirmed everything I needed to confirm. My mother made some calls and found a private clinic that could perform a prenatal paternity test. It was expensive and required a blood sample from me and a DNA sample from the potential father. The results would take about a week. "How do we get David's DNA?" I asked, my voice hollow. My mother's expression hardened. "Leave that to me." I didn't ask what she meant. I was too exhausted to care about the details. I just wanted the truth, even if it destroyed what little hope I had left. 2 days later, my mother handed me a small plastic bag containing a toothbrush. "From his bathroom," she said simply. "Your father distracted him while I slipped in through the back door. He never knew I was there." I stared at the toothbrush, the same one David used every morning and night, the one I had watched him hold 1,000 times, and felt something cold settle in my chest. This was really happening. I was about to find out if the baby I had been carrying for 5 months, the baby I had talked to, sung to, loved with every fiber of my being, was the result of my husband's affair with my sister. The blood draw was quick and painless. A nurse took 2 vials from my arm while I stared at the ceiling, trying to keep my breathing steady. She explained that they would extract fetal DNA from my blood sample and compare it to the DNA from the toothbrush. The technology was new, she said, but highly accurate. "You should have results within 7 to 10 days, she told me with a sympathetic smile. "Is there anything else I can help you with?" I shook my head. There was nothing anyone could help me with, not until I knew the truth. The waiting was unbearable. Every day felt like a month. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I wandered through my mother's house like a ghost, replaying every moment of the past year in my mind, searching for signs I had missed. And I found them. So many signs. The way David had started going to the gym more often, getting in shape for no apparent reason. The way he had bought new cologne, a scent I didn't recognize and hadn't chosen. The way he sometimes called me by the wrong name, catching himself at the last second with a nervous laugh. And Naomi. The way she had been so eager to handle the IVF arrangements herself. The way she had never once invited me to meet Marcus, the supposed father of the baby I was carrying. The way she had looked at David sometimes when she thought I wasn't watching, a look I had dismissed as sisterly affection. It was never sisterly. It was hungry, possessive, the look of a woman who was sleeping with another woman's husband. On the 8th day, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something in my gut told me this was the call I had been waiting for. I answered with trembling hands. "Mrs. Patterson?" a woman's voice asked. "This is Dr. Simmons from the genetics lab. I'm calling about your paternity test results." My heart stopped. "Yes," I managed. "I'm here." "The results are in," she continued. "Would you like me to read them over the phone, or would you prefer to come in and discuss them in person?" I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "Just tell me," I whispered. "Please, I need to know." There was a pause, a long, heavy pause that seemed to last forever. Then she spoke. "Based on the DNA analysis, the biological father of the baby you are carrying is a 99.98% match to the sample you provided." The room tilted. The baby was David's, not some stranger named Marcus, not a sperm donor from an IVF clinic. David's. My husband had gotten my sister pregnant, and they had used me, my body, my love, my trust, to carry their child without ever telling me the truth. I don't remember hanging up the phone. I don't remember falling to my knees on my mother's kitchen floor. I don't remember screaming, though my mother told me later that I did, a sound so raw and broken that the neighbors came outside to see what was wrong. All I remember is the pain. a pain so deep, so absolute, that it felt like my soul was being ripped in half. I had given everything to this pregnancy. My body, my time, my love. I had put my own life on hold to give my sister the gift of motherhood. And the whole time, every single day for 5 months, she had been lying to me, using me, laughing at me behind my back while she slept with my husband in my bed. The baby kicked. A sharp, strong kick right beneath my ribs. And for the first time since I had learned I was pregnant, I felt something other than love for the life growing inside me. I felt rage. My mother found me on the floor 20 minutes later. She didn't say anything. She just sat down beside me, pulled my head into her lap, and stroked my hair while I cried. "What do I do now?" I finally asked, my voice hoarse. "What am I supposed to do?" My mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "You make them answer for what they did, not with screaming, not with violence, but with the truth." She leaned down and looked me in the eyes. "And you don't do it alone." I spent the next 2 weeks planning, not screaming, not crying, not confronting David or Naomi in a rage that would only give them ammunition to paint me as the crazy, emotional, pregnant woman who couldn't be reasoned with. No, I was going to expose them on my terms, and I was going to do it in front of everyone who mattered. My mother was my co-conspirator. She helped me gather every piece of evidence, the paternity test results, phone records showing dozens of late-night calls between David and Naomi, credit card statements proving they had booked hotel rooms together while I sat at home, pregnant and trusting. We printed everything, organized it, built a file so comprehensive that no one could deny what had happened. "What are you going to do with all of this?" my mother asked one evening as we sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by papers. I looked at her with a calm I didn't feel. "My father's retirement party is next Saturday," I said. "The whole family will be there, aunts, uncles, cousins, family, friends, everyone who has ever loved and trusted Naomi." My mother's eyes widened. "You're going to expose her there," I nodded slowly. "She wanted to be the center of attention her whole life. Fine, I'll give her exactly what she asked for." My mother was silent for a moment. Then she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I raised you to be kind," she said softly. "But I also raised you to be strong. Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you." I squeezed her hand back. "Thank you, Mama." The days leading up to the party passed in a blur. David had been desperately trying to contact me. He showed up at my mother's house 3 times, banging on the door, begging me to talk to him. Each time, my mother sent him away. "She doesn't want to see you," she told him through the closed door. "And if you come back again, I'm calling the police." He stopped coming after that. Naomi was more persistent. She sent emails. Long, rambling emails filled with apologies and excuses and explanations that somehow always circled back to how much pain she was in, how much she had suffered, how she never meant to hurt me. Not once did she acknowledge that she had stolen my husband. Not once did she mention the baby. Not once did she admit that she had used me as an unwitting surrogate for her affair child. I deleted every email without responding. She didn't deserve my words. She would get my silence until Saturday. The morning of my father's retirement party, I woke up with an eerie sense of calm. The baby was restless, shifting and kicking like she knew something was about to happen. I placed my hand on my belly and whispered to her, not with the love I had felt before, but with something more complicated. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "None of this is your fault, but I need to do this. I need them to face what they did." The baby kicked once, hard, like she understood. I got dressed slowly, carefully. I chose a simple blue maternity dress that showed my belly clearly. I wanted everyone to see exactly what I had sacrificed for my sister. I wanted them to see the evidence of her betrayal stretched across my body. My mother drove me to the venue, a community center near my parents' church that had been decorated with balloons and streamers for my father's big day. Cars were already filling the parking lot when we arrived. Inside, I could hear music and laughter and the buzz of conversations. My family was in there. My father, my aunts and uncles, my cousins and their children, everyone who had watched me and Naomi grow up, everyone who had always praised her beauty, her charm, her magnetic personality. Today, they were going to see who she really was. I walked through the front doors with my mother beside me. Heads turned immediately. People smiled, waved, called out greetings. Several relatives rushed over to hug me and touch my belly, cooing about how beautiful I looked, how excited they were for Naomi to finally become a mother. "You're such a good sister," my Aunt Patricia said, squeezing my hands. "What you're doing for Naomi is the most selfless thing I've ever seen." I smiled politely and said nothing. Across the room, I spotted Naomi. She was standing near the buffet table, looking radiant in a red dress that hugged her figure perfectly. She was laughing at something someone had said, her head thrown back, her perfect white teeth gleaming. She hadn't seen me yet, but David had. He was standing a few feet away from her, holding a glass of punch, his face pale as a ghost. The moment our eyes met, I saw panic flash across his features. He took a step toward me, then stopped, clearly unsure what to do. I ignored him completely. Instead, I walked toward the small stage at the front of the room where a microphone had been set up for my father's speech. My mother followed close behind, carrying a folder filled with every piece of evidence we had gathered. People watched me curiously as I climbed the 3 steps to the stage. A few called out questions. "What are you doing, Cynthia? Is everything okay?" But I didn't answer. I just picked up the microphone and I turned to face the room. "Excuse me," I said, my voice calm and clear. "I'm sorry to interrupt the celebration, but there's something I need to say." The room fell silent. 60 pairs of eyes stared at me, confused, curious, concerned. I found Naomi in the crowd. She was frozen in place, her champagne glass suspended halfway to her lips. Her face had gone pale. She knew. In that moment, she knew exactly what was about to happen. I smiled at her. Then I began to speak. "6 months ago," I began, my voice steady despite the hurricane raging inside me, "my sister Naomi came to me with a request. She asked me to carry a baby for her, to be her surrogate, to give her the one thing she had always wanted but could never have on her own." I paused, letting the words settle over the room. Several people nodded, smiling warmly. They knew this story. They had praised me for it countless times over the past months. "I said yes without hesitation," I continued. "Because I loved my sister, because I trusted her completely, because I would have done anything to help her become a mother." I placed my hand on my swollen belly. "I carried this baby through morning sickness that lasted for weeks, through exhaustion so deep I could barely function, through aches and pains and sleepless nights. I gave up my body, my comfort, my peace of mind, all for Naomi." My voice cracked slightly, but I pressed on. "I did everything right. I took the vitamins. I went to every appointment. I talked to this baby every single night, promising her she would have a wonderful life with her mother, my sister, who loved her so much." I looked directly at Naomi. She was trembling now. Her champagne glass shook in her hand. David had moved closer to her, as if preparing to catch her when she fell. Good. Let him stand beside her. Let everyone see them together. "But there's something I didn't know," I said, my voice dropping lower. "Something that was hidden from me, something that my sister and my husband conspired to keep secret for over 2 years. A ripple of confusion spread through the crowd. People glanced at each other, then at Naomi, then at David. My father stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "Cynthia, what are you talking about?" I reached toward my mother, who handed me the folder. "This baby," I said, holding up the paternity test results, "is not from any IVF clinic. There was no anonymous sperm donor. There was no boyfriend named Marcus. That man doesn't exist." I let the words hang in the air. "This baby," I continued, my voice breaking, "is the biological child of my husband, David Patterson, conceived the old-fashioned way, with my sister, in my bed." While I sat at work, planning lessons for my students, completely unaware that the 2 people I trusted most in this world were betraying me. The silence that followed was deafening. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The only sound was the soft music playing from the speakers in the corner, a cheerful tune that now felt grotesque against the horror unfolding in the room. Then chaos erupted. My Aunt Patricia gasped so loudly it echoed off the walls. My father's face turned red, then purple, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. My mother stood beside the stage, her expression grim but satisfied. And Naomi crumbled. She dropped her champagne glass and it shattered against the floor, sending golden liquid splashing across the tiles. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Just a strangled, choking sound, the sound of someone who had finally been caught. I didn't," she stammered, her eyes darting around the room like a trapped animal. David tried to step forward. "Cynthia, please let me explain." "Explain what?" I cut him off, my voice sharp as a blade. "Explain how you've been sleeping with my sister for 2 years. Explain how you got her pregnant and then convinced me to carry the baby so no one would ever find out. Explain how you looked me in the eyes every single day and lied." He flinched like I had slapped him. "I have the evidence," I continued, holding up the folder. "Phone records, hotel receipts, text messages. and a paternity test that proves without any doubt that this baby is yours and Naomi's. I threw the folder at his feet. Papers scattered across the floor, months of betrayal laid bare for everyone to see. "Pick it up," I said quietly. "Read it. Let everyone here see exactly who you are." My father moved first. He crossed the room in 3 long strides, his face twisted with rage I had never seen before. For a moment, I thought he was going to hit David, and part of me wanted him to. But instead, he stopped in front of Naomi, his own daughter. "Is this true?" he demanded, his voice shaking. "Did you do this to your sister?" Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, please, is this true?" She looked at me. She looked at David. And then, slowly, she nodded. My mother let out a sound, something between a sob and a scream. My aunts rushed to comfort her, their faces pale with shock. My cousins stared at Naomi like they had never seen her before. Because they hadn't. None of us had. The woman we thought we knew, the charming, beautiful, magnetic Naomi, was a stranger. A liar. A thief who had stolen her sister's husband and used her sister's body to hide the evidence. My father turned away from her without another word. He walked to me, climbed the steps to the stage, and wrapped his arms around me. He held me tight, his body shaking with silent sobs, and whispered in my ear, "I'm so sorry, baby girl, I'm so sorry." I closed my eyes and let him hold me. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. The party ended after that. People gathered their things and left quietly, shooting glances at Naomi and David as they passed. No one spoke to them. No one hugged them. No one offered comfort. They stood in the middle of the empty room, surrounded by scattered papers and broken glass, completely alone. And I walked out with my head held high. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life, but they were also the weeks that saved me. After the party, I filed for divorce immediately. My mother helped me find a lawyer, a fierce woman named Sandra Chen, who specialized in cases involving infidelity and fraud. When I told her my story, she didn't flinch. She just nodded, took notes, and said, "We're going to take him for everything he has." And we did. David tried to fight at first. He hired his own lawyer, contested the divorce, claimed I was being emotionally irrational due to pregnancy hormones. He even had the audacity to request visitation rights to the baby he had conceived with my sister and tricked me into carrying. But the evidence was undeniable. The paternity test, the phone records, the hotel receipts. A timeline that proved he and Naomi had been sleeping together for over 2 years, long before I ever agreed to be a surrogate. His lawyer advised him to settle. And he did. I got the house. I got 70% of our savings. I got his retirement account. And I got a restraining order that prevented him from coming within 500 feet of me or my mother's home. He signed the papers with shaking hands, refusing to meet my eyes. I felt nothing. Naomi tried to reach out several times. She sent letters, long, tear-stained letters filled with apologies and explanations and desperate pleas for forgiveness. She called my mother's house at all hours, begging to speak to me. She even showed up at my father's doorstep once, sobbing, asking him to intervene. He closed the door in her face. My family had made their choice. They chose me. Aunts who had once praised Naomi's beauty now refused to speak her name. Cousins who had admired her charm deleted her from their social media. My mother, who had loved both her daughters equally for 33 years, told Naomi she was no longer welcome in her home. "You killed something in this family," my mother told her during their final conversation. "Something that can never be repaired. I will always love you because you are my child, but I will never forgive you for what you did to your sister." Naomi moved away 3 months later. I heard through relatives that she relocated to another state, somewhere far from Memphis, far from the wreckage of her choices, far from the family she had destroyed. I never saw her again, and I made peace with that. The baby came on a cold Tuesday morning in February. I went into labor at 4 a.m., and my mother drove me to the hospital while I gripped her hand through every contraction. The nurses were kind, the doctors were efficient, and after 12 hours of pain and pushing, my daughter entered the world. She weighed 7 pounds, 6 ounces. She had a full head of dark curly hair, and when the nurse placed her on my chest, she opened her eyes and looked up at me like she already knew exactly who I was. Her mother, not Naomi, me. I had spent months wrestling with what to do about this baby. During the darkest days of my pregnancy, I had considered every option. Adoption. Giving her to a family member. Walking away entirely and letting Naomi raise the child she had schemed so hard to create. But the moment I held her, all those options disappeared. This baby had grown inside my body. She had kicked against my ribs while I cried myself to sleep. She had been with me through every moment of discovery, every moment of heartbreak, every moment of planning my escape. She was innocent. She didn't choose her father. She didn't choose how she was conceived. She didn't ask to be born into this mess of betrayal and lies, and I realized something important. Blood doesn't make a mother. Love does. Sacrifice does. Showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, that's what makes a mother. And I had already been doing that for 9 months. I named her Grace, because that's what she represented to me, grace in the midst of devastation. A second chance I never expected. A reason to keep going when everything inside me wanted to give up. My mother held her first after me. She cried when she looked at Grace's tiny face, not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. "She looks just like you did when you were born," my mother whispered. "Same eyes, same little nose. She's yours, Cynthia. In every way that matters, she's yours." I believed her. David never met his daughter. He tried once, sent a letter through his lawyer requesting a DNA-confirmed paternity acknowledgement and visitation rights. My lawyer responded with a reminder of the restraining order and a threat of legal action if he persisted. He didn't persist. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he moved in with Naomi briefly after the divorce, but their relationship fell apart within months. Apparently, the foundation of an affair doesn't translate well into a real partnership. Who would have thought? He lives alone now, works at a different company in a different city, and he has no relationship with the daughter he helped create. That's his loss. Because Grace is magnificent. She's curious and bright and full of laughter. She loves books and music and dancing in the living room to songs only she can hear. She calls my mother Nana and my father Papa, and she has no idea that she was ever conceived in betrayal. She only knows love, and that's all she will ever need to know. It's been 4 years since I walked into that bedroom and discovered the truth. 4 years since my world collapsed. 4 years since I stood on a stage in front of my entire family and exposed the 2 people who had betrayed me most. 4 years since I held my daughter for the first time and chose to love her despite everything. And I have never once regretted that choice. Grace is almost 5 now. She starts kindergarten in the fall. She's already learned to write her name in big, wobbly letters, and she proudly shows me every crayon drawing she creates like it belongs in a museum. She has my smile. My mother says she has my spirit too, stubborn, determined, full of quiet strength. I look at her sometimes when she's sleeping or playing or laughing at something silly, and I marvel at how something so beautiful could come from something so broken. She is proof that healing is possible. She is proof that love can grow in the most unlikely places. She is proof that I survived. I returned to teaching 2 years ago. My students don't know my story. They don't know about the betrayal or the divorce or the sister I no longer speak to. They just know me as Ms. Patterson, the teacher who reads to them in funny voices and keeps extra snacks in her desk for anyone who forgot their lunch. I love my job more than ever now. There's something healing about being surrounded by children. Their innocence, their curiosity, their complete lack of cynicism. They remind me every day that the world is bigger than my pain, that there is still goodness everywhere if you know where to look. I've also started writing. Nothing published yet, just a journal I keep beside my bed where I pour out everything I've been holding inside. The anger, the grief, the moments of unexpected joy, the nights when I still wake up crying, even after all this time. Writing helps. It reminds me that my story matters. That everything I went through wasn't meaningless. That somewhere out there, another woman might be going through something similar, and maybe, just maybe, my words could help her survive. People ask me sometimes if I've forgiven them. Naomi, David, it's a complicated question. I don't think about David much anymore. He's become a stranger to me, a ghost from another life who has no power over my present. I don't hate him. I don't love him. I simply don't feel anything for him at all. That's its own kind of freedom. Naomi is harder. She was my sister, my blood. The person I shared a childhood with, a bedroom with, 1,000 inside jokes and secret conversations. Losing her was like losing a limb, phantom pain that never fully goes away. I haven't spoken to her in 4 years. She still sends birthday cards to me and to Grace that I throw away unopened. She tried to friend me on social media once, and I blocked her without hesitation. Whatever she wants to say, whatever apology she wants to offer, it's too late. Some wounds are too deep to heal, but I've stopped carrying the anger. That's not the same as forgiveness, I know, but it's close enough. I've stopped wishing her harm. I've stopped replaying our confrontation in my mind. I've stopped imagining all the things I wish I had said or done. I've just let her go. And in letting her go, I finally found peace. If you're listening to this story right now, and any part of it feels familiar, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, if you've ever discovered that the people closest to you were hiding terrible secrets, if you've ever had to rebuild your entire life from ashes, I want you to know something. You are stronger than you realize. The pain you're feeling right now, the rage, the grief, the disbelief, it won't last forever. It feels infinite in this moment. It feels like the darkness will never lift, but it will. I promise you it will. You will find your footing again. You will learn to trust again, not blindly, not naively, but wisely. You will create a life so beautiful that the people who betrayed you will fade into insignificance. And one day you will tell your story, not with bitterness, but with power, not as a victim, but as a survivor. That day will come. Hold on until it does. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched your heart, I hope you'll share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've been through something similar, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, have you ever been betrayed by someone in your own family? How did you survive it? How did you find the strength to keep going? Drop your story below. I read every single comment, and I promise you are not alone. If this video moved you, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. Every like, every comment, every share helps more than you know. It tells me that these stories matter, that your time here was well spent. And it helps this channel grow so we can keep sharing stories of strength, survival, and sisterhood. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.